The youth is so full of hope. I work reporting all these hope stories of the young people and all these solutions, and that's what keeps me going. That's what made me feel young as well.
You
So,
make me feel young. I'm not that old though. And you know what? We need to imagine a future that works best for us. We need to start co-creating and building onto that. We need to be hopeful.
hi, I'm Laura Quiñones. I am a multimedia producer and a journalist for the United Nations Global Communications Department, and I'm here with Brian.
Fantastic. Hi, Laura.
Hi.
My name is Maina Brian. I work as a regional lead for Qatar is Now, and I also work as an advisor to the Special Envoy for Climate Change on climate tech, innovation, and youth engagement.
But it seems like we're supposed to interview each other.
Yep.
And we're going to start with one question.
Fantastic.
So, what needs to happen today in key sectors to ensure that the next generation has access to green jobs?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. I think what we need to do is to create avenues for them to connect. Because ideally, what has been there in the gap that we notice is that people are not communicating to each other. We need to find a way to profile people who are working on these spaces. We need to find a way to showcase the work that they do. And at the same time, we need to advocate more for people to come and have intergenerational dialogues about the work that they do. And so for us to create green jobs and jobs particularly, we need to also connect to CBOs and CSOs and partners who work in these spaces to communicate to technical universities so that then we can create a more entrepreneurial workforce that comes out into the market and thinks about how do we innovate and create opportunities for other people. But that said, I think I love the session you did on storytelling, and so I want to quickly pivot to that. How can storytelling transform communities and community building?
Before communities, let's just kind of build on what you were saying, right? We need to tell our stories, and the people there that are working and they're trying to find a green job, and they're trying to achieve their dreams for their community need to learn about storytelling. And what's storytelling? Well, it's the art of telling a story, but not only telling it for the sake of telling it, but kind of leave people with a message, with inspiration, and with some action. So the way storytelling builds community, it's very natural because as communities, as families, we tell each other stories the whole time. So it is an opportunity for us to bring our traditions in, to tell who we are, where we're from, what are the problems that we face, and how can we solve it, and what are we doing?
And it reminds me about a very good African adage that says, up until the lion learns how to write, the story will always glorify the hunter. And it's time for us to be the lions in our own stories. It's time for us to learn how to tell our own stories and to make sure that we are the hunters who can glorify and can get glorified as we tell our stories.
I really love that. And that's true. We really struggle in how to tell our stories when there's so many good things happening there. And something that I want to highlight is sometimes we try to focus too much on the problem. It's like, have a problem, climate change is affecting me, and it is a problem that we need to tell. And we have numbers of how many people are affected, of what are our deadlines to kind of reduce emissions and all this data. But we need to put a human face into this. And that's where storytelling comes
Wow, I like that.
in. Yeah. I have another question for you. How can we collaborate across our generations to create more and better jobs for a livable future?
Oh, that's fantastic. I think a time has come whereby intergenerational dialogues are very key. Collaboration is key. You cannot achieve anything by working in silos. And so this means that we need to bring together policymakers and governments. We need to bring together philanthropic actors. We need to bring together social actors, CBOs, anyone acting in this space. And together we need to start co-creating, co-engaging, and understanding how best do we calibrate the future we want to see. And that means that we need to have young people engaged as well, because the future is not ours. The future belongs to the people who come after us. And so we need to start focusing on us creating avenues for them to grow, to thrive, and make sure that everything that we create has to be sustainable, bankable, and it has to be something that can be scaled in a way that it creates more jobs for more people, and it has to be green. And so for us in Africa, we have so many things we're looking at, but two key priorities is one, how do we industrialize Africa? And this is why we've launched something called the African Green Industrialization Initiative. And the second one is more or less about Africa. It's about energy, because without energy, all industries will die. And so that's why we have the second initiative called Accelerated Partnerships for Renewables. And so the goal is to make sure that we can use these two mediums to communicate to people, but to as well create spaces for them to thrive in the different avenues that they get into.
And I understand that Africa is one of the continents that has the biggest potential for renewable energy.
Wow.
And there is a whole market to tap in there.
We have about 40 to 60%,
Mm,
of all the minerals required to move us into a green space and, clean energy as well.
yeah.
And we need to make sure that young people are brought on board into these conversations, and not just being brought on board. They need to be the ones who create these solutions for us. They're very innovative, and you can see it from these sessions that we're having here.
Yeah.
I have a very beautiful question just to follow on that. Because ideally, what I really want to learn is how can our generations work together for our future?
I remember when I was young, or I was younger, I thought I had all the answers. And I sort of have some certain answers and certain angles that the youth have. But then the people who have been there and had the experience also have a lot to bring to the plate.
Yeah.
So I think it's so important for us to collaborate from the point of, okay, I have experience, I have knowledge, but I'm also young and I have these ideas. Like I can take the world in my hands and make it change. And that's the thing that you start losing as you get older. You start losing a little bit of hope. And I think the youth is so full of hope. And that's the reason, for example, in my work, I work reporting all these hope stories of the young people and all these solutions. And that's what keeps me going. That's what made me feel young as well.
You
So
make me feel young. I'm not that old though. And you know what? I feel that what you speak to is what we all need to do. We need to be hopeful. We need to imagine a future that works best for us. We need to start co-creating and building onto that. And Rauda, this has been an amazing session. You know what? Here is to co-creating.
yep.
Here is to working together and to making sure that we build something beautiful and leaving no one behind at all.
Yes.
It was nice
Thank you
hanging
so
out with
much.
Thank you so much.